Fine folks and fogies. So, I just did the 4-ACO DMT and ketamine, and I'm here to talk about a film I also watched on ketamine, The Northman. Now, among my friends who, for the most part, haven't seen R.Egger's films, they know me as a huge, huge fan of them. I mean, The Lighthouse, I think, is legitimately the most technically proficient within its limited budget. Especially as an indie film, the most absolutely unpredictable, rich with subtext, mythological references, Jungian references. It's a very profound movie, and it's one of those few films like Primer where I still am not entirely sure what's going on with it. So to say I was stoked to see the trailer for The Northman dropped was an understatement, because I saw, I think I smoked a joint before I saw The Lighthouse. That was it. I saw it at Vancouver Film Festival, and geez, by the time it was over, um, you know, I'm not going to spoil the ending, but if you've seen it, think of the ending in a massive theater. You could hear a pin drop. I felt like I was in a daze after that. Only so many movies have that effect on me. That, Pulse, and Solaris. Stalker also kind of has a similar effect on me, but yeah. Anyways, this was much different, because Eggers was actually allotted a great deal of money to work with. And it wasn't A24, the indie company, which is soon to be a not so indie company, because they've been bought out by visuals distracting. Sorry. Yeah, they are facing the $3.3 billion buyout or something, which I really hope doesn't happen. Because even though I haven't seen really a good movie from them since Midsummer, I want to say. Even though Midsummer I thought was like mediocre. I liked It Comes at Night. I loved Hereditary. Um, I can't think of any other modern ones I've seen by them. But in any case, yeah, they Paramount Pictures was behind this, and I have a little bit of Scandinavian in me. Or no, is it Scandinavian or Icelandic? I can't remember. It's one of the two. But I have Viking lineage, just a little bit, more so Irish. But I have always just despised the reimaginings of, Vikings. Even Valhalla Rising, I thought was just like overindulgent, but that's kind of Nicholas Winding Refn for you. But like the Viking series seemed to kind of glorify the violence. And so what I kind of perceived R.Eggers as doing was going, no, 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 no. This is what actually happened. And I'm not just saying that, because he had some serious, like, historical pundits on his team. And he wanted... Sorry, I'm having fun doing this. He wanted to have, as much historical accuracy as possible. And when, like, I was listening to him talk about them breaking down a scene, and when he admitted that the hairstyles aren't completely accurate, like, you could just hear in his voice that, like, he was so disappointed about that. Like, but I love that. I love that he can completely create an immersive world, and like one way he does it is with these like amazing tracking shots. And I can tell that action is not necessarily a strong suit, because you don't see a lot of action in his other films. You usually see very abrupt instances of violence. but he did an amazing job in the few action scenes. And I'm glad he eschewed a lot of the action that could have been there for certain scenes, had the violence off camera. But yeah, and the story itself is like his other films. It doesn't kind of provide this message, this clear cut. This is what I want you to take away from this. Like it was like seriously, it was seriously like there were what I took away from the message was that there is moral ambiguity in the main character, in Skarsgård's character, um, Allman, not Allman, uh, Amleth, um, and this was the Viking lore that inspired Hamlet and even Macbeth to some degree. Um, but yeah, no, it portrayed it just accurately, but by doing so, it showed the moral ambiguity in his character and how his character was essentially. Sorry, I'm having way too much fun doing this. um, his character was basically, the kind of the architect of his own issues, and he was somewhat the villain in his own story. That's what I took away from it, anyways. But that's just my interpretation. I'm sure many people would have completely different interpretations. And those are the kinds of movies we need right now. We need movies that completely suck you into this world. Like, the world they portray, the Vikings you see, they don't seem human. They seem part animal, like very primal hominids, and like very savage and barbaristic. Like, there's no attempts to glorify the violence whatsoever. Just like the opposite, if anything. Like, by the time he's getting to get his revenge, you're not exactly rooting for him. Um, but like, it's very different than his last two movies, and his last two movies were pretty much perfect. I would say, yeah, this is more conventional. Um, and I saw that Variety magazine says it's already a box office bomb, despite it not even being released for more than a weekend. Like, I got the privilege of seeing it in the VIP theater where the whole room shakes with the sound effects. It was really far out, and I really think we need people like him to continue making films, because he is my favorite working director. And no, I did not mention Paul Thomas Anderson, and I know he does count, but I believe Egger's films have left more of an impact on me than Anderson, only by a little bit, but um, and Paul Thomas Anderson, like the good one, the good director. His last one was Licorice Pizza, which I was like, man, seemed like kind of a nostalgic-asm, but he's been doing this long enough, so I think that's well within his rights to make a film like that. After he made There Will Be Blood, Master, Phantom Thread, Boogie Nights, you've earned yourself some nostalgic indulgence. But yeah, Eggers wants to make a miniseries, or he expressed interest in making a miniseries on Rasputin, and I would love to see that, because yeah, the historical accuracy, the way he portrays atmosphere, in a way that like just accurately reflects whatever concurrent time frame the narrative takes place in. The Witch, 1600s, Lighthouse, early 1900s, and the dialect he gets is amazing. I believe he studied with his brother for the Lighthouse, like various journals kept by wikis back in the 1900s by New England lighthouse keepers, and so that's why there's a lot of slang in it. You kind of need subtitles to understand what they're saying. It's a good thing they had subtitles when I saw it at the Vancouver Film Festival. But yeah, I mean, I couldn't recommend this enough, and I think Hollywood right now is it's going through some very poor choices, poor decision making. They are trying to pump out crap that is, just recycled garbage, just revivified trash. So yeah, I would say I gave the Lighthouse 10 out of 10. I would say I'd give this a 9 out of 10 just because it's a little more cut and dry in the simplicity of the story. But in terms of mass appeal, I think it would get a higher rating in that regard. Whereas the Lighthouse would get a lower rating. But see, I'm more into abstract films, so the Lighthouse was like what I was kind of looking for there. But anyways, I just want to say, absolutely love The Northman. Please go out and see it in theaters. Please do. If you do so, go to one of the VIP ones where like the entire room shakes and you get your own couch. Like it adds so much to the experience. I did a little ketamine, smoked a couple joints beforehand. Just like I lost myself in it, and I love how he reincorporated elements of history into it, like for like two split scenes. Like when you first see the boat rowing, when it cuts to the years later Land of Roost part, um, you see a female Viking commander, and that was actually because they found a grave of a female Viking commander. And I think she's also the one you see riding off into Valhalla um, towards the end, and also in the trailer. Um, no, and that's not a spoiler because it's not really relevant to the movie. But yeah, and if I keep talking, I believe I will get into spoiler territory. But one thing though I do want to say is I wish um, Willem Dafoe was in it for a little bit longer because he was in it for all of about 90 seconds, unless you account for his decapitated head talking to uh, Amleth for like 30 more seconds. But the thing is, his presence is so powerful that it was overreaching over the entire narrative. I thought that was amazing. And to have an actual Icelandic author on board for the project, and then also an actual Icelandic, um, well, actress, musician, Bjork as the sorceress, I thought was cool that they're sticking to authenticity. I think they should do the same thing with, reimaginings of Native American, um, stories, myths, encounters. Have someone who knows about that on board at the very least. And yeah, I really hope the Northman can act as a turning point away from just the homogenous Marvel, DC, multiverse, just mumbo jumbo, just it all runs together to me. I honestly could not give a shit about that stuff. I really couldn't. Like multiverse stuff has never really appealed to me because like even everywhere all everything all the time all at once or whatever it's called. That movie even like I thought it sounded cool, but then I was like, oh, multiverse. Ah, here we go. Because the thing is with that multiverse stuff, like you're essentially like you're allowed to just make up whatever rules you want. It's lazy filmmaking, if you ask me. I haven't seen everything all at once, but that's what Spider-Man: Homecoming is doing. That's what Doctor Strange is doing. That's what this whole MCU multiverse is doing. And I think it is unfortunate that so much money is going towards those blockbusters because that is not real film, and it's films like The Northman that will save cinema. Bear that in mind. Now subscribe, motherfuckers. Peace. I'm gonna trip out now. Bye bye.